She's still laughing.
That's so funny. Welcome to 5 Lemons Left. We're the real stuff, the lemons making lemonade. So pucker up, because we're going to be discussing our life's lessons and the nitty-gritty details of our spiritual journeys.
Hey y'all, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Drusilla.
I'm Melissa.
Hello, this is Morgan.
And I'm Penny. Welcome to our podcast today.
Now you will feel no rain, for each of you will be the shelter to the other. Now you will feel no cold, for each of you will be warmth to the other. Now there is no more loneliness for you. Now there is no more loneliness. Now you are two persons, but there is one life before you. Go now to your dwelling place and enter into the days of your togetherness. And may your days be good and long upon this earth.
Okay, what was that, Amanda?
Well, Mike and I just celebrated our 25-year wedding anniversary. And that we had on our wedding day. Thank you. Yes, quite a milestone. And I wanted to go back and revisit that and see where we came from, you know, like where we started as young people and where we are now. And really look at codependence, like how that all came about. So that's what the poem was about, launching a discussion into codependency.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry, just to clarify. So that poem was from your wedding?
Yes, that poem was from our wedding. We
Nice.
did not read it out at our wedding. We had it, my mom gave it to me, and it was framed at like the card gift table. Mm-hmm. And I've had it around me the whole time since. It's been in a frame and somewhere in our home for 25 years. And it's so funny because we're talking about codependency. And as I'm reading it now, like the line in there where, now two persons. Now you are two persons, but there is one life before you. And it's sweet and all, but like it doesn't bring up the same stuff. I'm like, I'm an independent woman. Like I got my own path. I love my husband. I want him as a partner, but he is a grown ass man and he has his own path too. So it's just interesting, the difference between how we started and how we lived the first 15, 20 years of our lives. Because codependence, like, was what I thought that's what marriage was. Like, that is what society tells you marriage is. It's codependence. And I don't believe that now.
Yeah. Yes, you are one now. You have no identity now. You're one. It's your husband.
Yeah.
Yes, you will caretake each other, take care of it. Yeah, you complete me. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you complete me. It just makes me want to hurl a little bit. I got a little throw up in the back of my throat. Like, I don't get that. I'm complete already.
So did you live for years codependent? Were you?
Oh, absolutely. Because that's what marriage was, right? That's what marriage was to me. And
was that,
so we lived pardon?
Was that modeled to you?
No, my parents got divorced when I was 3. So I had no modeling behavior at all. That's just in what I crafted in my mind was your lives were the same, right? You were Mr. and Mrs. Snyder, right? Where's the identity in that? And I don't want to discount that type of behavior, that type of life. Everybody's on their own path. It served me well. We actually had a good life. And as I get older, the more I look back and go, maybe I got a little lost in the sauce there, right? Like maybe I took on some of Mike's behaviors and he took on some of mine that weren't actually that the best, the most healthy way to be. I was going to say, that wasn't for the highest and best, but I have to claim that it was because I lived it and here I am now. So no regrets, right? I'm not regretting the way that I lived and I'm not regretting how my life is shifting now. Yeah.
Well,
It's beautiful.
I didn't get married until later in life. And I feel like I was codependent from like the freaking start.
Yeah.
From birth.
Yeah.
I mean,
birth. Birth.
I just had
literally at birth we're codependent.
Yeah, we are.
Umbilical cord.
Yeah.
Or interdependent. Maybe that's interdependent. Sorry, go ahead, Melissa.
No, I was just gonna say I was very codependent with boyfriends and family members and but especially boyfriends, especially like losing myself, losing my identity. And I think for me, it was all about needing approval and needing someone else to show me. And I was willing to give up anything, any part of my identity, who I was, what I liked, what I didn't like, anything, just as long as I had someone telling me and showing me that I was worthy.
Yeah. While you were talking, I was just thinking about a lot of us here are recovering people pleasers. Do you think that codependent behaviors are more predominant among us people pleasers?
Yes. I can't talk for other people, but that's why I was a people pleaser, because I was codependent to get approval and acknowledgement and love. And I still do it at times today, not as much. It's kind of like the poem, Amanda, like I can look back and go, oh my gosh, things that I thought I was supposed to do. But for me, I think I was, that concept where you're in the fish tank, so you can't like see the swimming because you're in it. And so I feel like I was so in it, I couldn't see the behavior.
Well, yeah, that does make sense, right? Because for me, I didn't even realize that that's what was happening. I think it would be really helpful if someone could read or look up the definition of codependence, or us have a discussion about what it means to us. So all of you guys, people listening, we can be on the same page. Yeah.
When I started my 12-step journey, my sponsor suggested that I go to Codependence Anonymous class meetings because I guess she saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And I went for a couple years. They were really quite helpful. I'm just looking here. Am I a codependent? Let's see. I'm just trying to see if I can find a quick definition here. At the beginning, most of us found that we identified with several characteristics in these. Okay, this is not going to help.
Well, since I am a recovering people pleaser too, Morgan and Amanda, I already had this pulled up. So
good job.
I have something here, and it says codependency is a learned behavior that can be passed down from one generation to another. It's an emotional and behavioral condition that affects an individual's ability to have a healthy, mutually satisfying relationship. It's also known as relationship addiction because people with codependency often form or maintain relationships that are one-sided and emotionally destructive. This disorder was first identified 10 years ago as a result of studying interpersonal relationships in families of alcoholics. So it says codependent behavior is learned by watching and imitating other family members who display this type of behavior. That's not a scientific definition, but someone's explanation. That I like the relationship addiction part.
Yeah.
And it says So what are the behaviors of codependency then? I must have missed that.
Hmm.
So the behavior of codependency would be like going along with whatever, right? Like, so if your husband likes chocolate ice cream and you like vanilla and you eat chocolate ice, you buy chocolate ice cream and eat chocolate ice cream because your husband likes it.
Well, this says low self-esteem in general can
Uh-huh.
lead to codependent habits. And if you feel you're unworthy of love, you might go to great lengths to gain approval and feel wanted. You might take on a caretaker role and put too much focus on the needs of others. And one of it is a desire to be needed, an attempt to rescue, save, or support loved ones, so that you become even more dependent on them because they're dependent on you.
And you deny, you don't even know what your needs are or how to get them met. You minimize and you minimize what your needs are and what you need, and you just totally focus on what others may need. So you're very compliant. You avoid creating any waves. You act in ways that invites others to shame or express anger towards you, and you get judged harshly. You act in ways that people start doing that, and you love to control you because you believe people are incapable of taking care of themselves. So you you attempt to convince others what to do, think, and feel as a codependent.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are just some of the patterns of codependence from Codependence Anonymous. Yeah.
Well, and one thing that has always bothered me about the word codependence is because of what Melissa said, that it was first kind of researched and discovered by studying relationships with alcoholics, is that the term is often only exclusively used to describe relationships where someone is in a relationship with an alcoholic. And it's often tossed around almost like judgmentally or accusatorily, like, oh, they're in such a codependent relationship. And what we know from studying A Course in Miracles and studying with Jennifer is that almost all relationships in the world are actually codependent relationships. And
Exactly.
so coming to that recognition, understanding helped me to accept that I was in a codependent relationship.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I wouldn't really describe Mike and I's relationship as dysfunctional. I wouldn't describe it as unhappy. I would, from the lens of time, I could, looking back on it, I'm like, oh, right. Like, I did change that behavior because of being married to Mike. I did switch this goal because of needing to please a boss, right, in a career. So like I see the pattern of really wanting to fit in. And I don't remember who said it about a lower self-esteem what allows that type of behavior. So interesting.
Yeah.
And I think, like Morgan said, most relationships are codependent, and that doesn't have to be negative completely. I think when I decided to change was just when it felt so bad. Like when I felt like I couldn't find myself or find my own self-worth or self-esteem, or I started realizing in all the ways I didn't accept myself and love myself, and how I partnered with people who were unavailable. And I went to that unavailable person to get my needs met, which is like a double negative, right? And so it just started hurting so badly. I had to change some behavior. And I also went to Codependence Anonymous and other Al-Anon, other 12-step groups that were very, very helpful. But I know that looking back now, I am so glad I don't feel that way anymore. It's like an empty pit. It's just um such sad feelings. And I don't feel like that anymore. And I'm really very grateful that I don't.
So what was, Melissa, you would say like the number one or something that pops into your mind behavior that you started with changing?
Well, taking care of myself for one. And also just, I made decisions that I was going to just keep doing what I enjoyed doing. I had to figure those things out first, what I like to do independently. And then I just proceeded with those things without waiting to do them for my partner to show up to do them with me. So self-care, following my own heart, definitely getting outside help to reflect some things to me. I remember when my husband and I were, I think it was like 23. We've lived together since I've been 20. And I remember finding this amazing guy, and he was an ex-monk, and he's phenomenal. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to go to couples counseling. I was in my early 20s. Come on, let's go to couples counseling. So we go to couples counseling, we sit, we talk to him, and the guy's like, oh, great to meet you guys. It's really nice. Melissa, can you stay, talk to me for a second? And so I stayed, and he was like, when can I see you again? Because I took my husband, not my husband then, but I took him there so he could get fixed. Right. So we'd have a happy relationship because he needed fixing. So our counselor saw right through it. And he was like, you need to come back, because I was so codependent, just a matter of fact of bringing him someplace to fix him, not me, tells it all.
So the counselor was the former monk, not your husband.
Oh, yeah.
First, when you said that, I was like, I never knew that.
Is that what I said? Oh my gosh.
No, you didn't say, you just, the way you said it, I wasn't sure.
Oh gosh. I am definitely one lemon laughing over here.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I thought you were getting ready to like choose a different guy. Like you were considering leaving your husband because you found this monk. So I'm glad you kept telling that story.
Only like 75 at the time, and I was 20, but he was so great, and very deeply spiritual. So yeah, he helped us a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely to your point about how young you were when you and is it Ty when you first started dating. It's so much easier, I feel like, to get into those codependent relationships when you're young, because like, I know for me, my very first long-term relationship that lasted more than 2 months was very codependent because I wasn't even sure of who I was yet. So like the whole idea of like just going with whatever they want, it just was the easiest because I didn't know myself. You know what I mean? Like, so it was easy to let my identity get swept up and lost in another person's and just going along with whatever, because I was still learning about myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear what the listeners, like what kind of codependent, now that you hear this conversation, like kind of what kind of codependent behaviors are popping up for you? And like, are you now thinking that some of your relationships are a tad bit more codependent than you would actually want? I'd love to know that.
Yeah, I think for me, it's been a process of undoing those patterns. And it's like still ongoing. And when I did my yoga teacher training, the yogini that we trained with, she had us watching Bradshaw on the Family. And he did do a lot of research on the family dynamics and the roles we play. And that was the first time I was introduced to interdependent relationships. And so I've often, that's what I strive for in my relationship with my husband and with anybody, actually, is that it's interdependent and that we love and support each other no matter what we're up to. And that is, my daughter just got married last Thursday, and she, it was a very low key, elegantly beautiful 12 people at the wedding on the beach in Pebble Beach. Just really beautiful ceremony. And she, in their vows, they wrote their own vows. And I forgot to tell you, my other daughter was the officiant, Minister Hannah. Yeah, it was really beautiful. Anyway, so it was just really heartwarming to listen to their vows and, how they're going to love and support each other in their goals in life. And I just thought it was just very interdependent versus, some of the codependent vows that you can hear, like,
you complete me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are one.
You're one.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Penny. Like, I have a couple questions that came up from your talk. What is, first of all, or second, answer it whatever order you want, the Bradshaw? Never heard of that before. And then when you and Morgan were talking about interdependency, I would like to know the difference between interdependency and codependency. So those two.
So
things.
John Bradshaw was in the 80s, he was a very big therapist, and he was on PBS and he recorded all these amazing series on, and the one that we watched was John Bradshaw on the Family. Mm-hmm. And it talked about the different dynamics. Anyway, he's a famous therapist. He died not too many years ago, but he's, I'm sure you can still find his work, his books, really great work is what he did. And so interdependence is where it's unconditional love, basically, is what interdependence is you love the person you're with and support them in their dreams and the deep desires of their heart and their goals. And they support you in your dreams and your deep desires of your heart and your goals. I mean, anything else that you want to add to that, Morgan?
No, I think you covered it.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably some textbook definition out there that I just remember. It's just that it's unconditional love is what an interdependent relationship is. And you probably act like mature adults too, most of the time.
Yeah. What? Oh, that's just nonsense.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Penny, how old was your daughter when she got married this past week?
They're almost 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How old were you when you got married, Penny?
I was 32.
32 or 30 as well?
32. Mm-hmm. 33. I was 32.
I was 27 when I got married.
Yeah.
How about you, Melissa?
32 too.
32
wow,
too?
That's so funny. And I was 35. We were all, I think, later than average.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have a sister that's just 18 months younger than me, and she got married. She turned 18 on June 12th and got married graduated from high school, May, turned 18 and got married 2 weeks later. And my great uncle came up to me at the wedding dance and said, "So how does it feel to be an old maid now?" Oh. I was 19 years old. Oh. 19 years old. And he said I was an old maid.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Times are changing.
Him across the face.
Yeah, that was 1980. So that's, times have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think people still talk about codependency I mean, have you ever heard your daughters talk about it, Penny? Or is it just, or do young women just do it differently now?
Well, I would say my younger daughter can be very codependent at times, but she's working on that. I've watched her in relationships, and I would say she took on some of the patterns that I had taught her and used those in relationships as well. But I think I see her breaking out of that now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's interesting just to think of it.
Yeah.
Still around.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting, Melissa. And when you bring that up, it makes me think about how the masculine feminine is kind of trying to come more into balance. And there are a lot of really strong, bold women. At least that is the picture that social media is painting for me. Who knows how accurate that is of like what's really going on in the world at large. But it seems like women are stepping up and stepping out and emboldened. And if women are the ones who are more predisposed to be these fixers, like you described, Penny or Melissa, then maybe there might be less of it. If there's more strong, independent women, maybe there is less of a tendency for young women to fall into that trap. I don't think it's altogether gone away by any means.
Morgan,
but it's an interesting question you bring up. What's that, Amanda?
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, Morgan, thank you so much for that. And I have a confession. I have been like addicted to CW shows. Don't tell anyone, everybody. Don't tell anyone. And I like them because like the reboot of Charmed and like all of those things, they're strong. The lead characters now are strong, powerful women. And like in I believe it's Charmed, where the men are still present and they're still contributing, but they're not save the day, they don't, when the women don't have to be saved and the men don't have to be the rescuer, right? They can just coexist together. So yeah, don't tell anybody about my CW addiction.
So have you moved on from your addiction to like violent shows, and you've replaced it with the CW addiction?
Oh, they're the same because now the women are kicking butt, not
kicking booty.
So there's still some of that there, right? You're getting magically zapped into another dimension.
That's so funny.
By a woman.
I think we're like that one generation. I mean, like we're kind of like straddling this generation of our moms, and who, like, my mother is a very strong woman, and she couldn't even have her own bank account when she first got married. So that generation with like, what we're talking about, the younger women and the powerful lead actresses and, women waiting to get married till they're older and keeping their names, all that kind of stuff. I think we still kind of straddle, these like I don't think I could see anyone now going up to someone at a wedding when they're 19 and saying they're an old maid. That's kind of like, hopefully that's in the past.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I think as generations continues, we keep going on, we can get further away from some of that stuff. I mean, obviously we've got some politics moving things around, but it's really about how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
And how young women feel about themselves. And I think like I've done so much work to try to heal those areas. And hopefully the next generations don't have to do that. They'll have their own stuff, but hopefully they have those codependent things going on.
Yes. And I'm just going to get metaphysical for a second. Like Course in Miracles says that miracles are maximal. So when you do that healing work, the ripple effects, like they collapse time and they benefit that younger generation so they don't have to experience that or do that healing work because you're doing it on behalf of all of us in all directions of time and space.
Yeah, it helps our ancestors too. I think it heals our ancestral stuff too. Yeah.
And if we're even talking about parallel dimensions and timelines, all of that, it just reaches in all directions. And yeah.
And the women before us live tough lives. And it has evolved so that we wouldn't have to live those kind of lives, which is pretty amazing and wonderful. I always have said, I don't know what I would be being like a Oregon Trail person, like walking across, because this is very random, but I wear contacts and my sister and I were like, we wouldn't see anything. We would like be dying. We would be like not seeing anything on the Oregon Trail, not to mention pregnant and hot and walking miles. Just there's a lot of women have been through a lot. So
I love that. Random thoughts of Melissa. Thank you.
Yeah.
Love that.
The Oregon Trail.
Very random.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because everything is speeding up and expanding, like the universe and everything. And you bringing up that your mom couldn't even have a bank account in her name, and looking at how far we've come in such a short span of time, like it's just further evidence that things are speeding up and momentum is building. Like it doesn't have to take a long time to heal this BS.
Yeah. So you guys, we are coming towards the end of our time. Any final thoughts?
Well, I do have a Post-it.
Yay.
Are you guys ready to hear it?
Yes.
I complete
me.
I love it.
I love that.
Penny, you've got to start sending me your Post-its so I can put them on our social media. I keep forgetting to ask you.
And we're missing Drusilla.
Drusilla.
Love her and miss her. So
yes, I have a feeling she's busy working on her exciting project.
Yeah, so exciting.
All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for joining us for this conversation on codependence. We may have to talk about it more next week. We'll see. Check out our website, fivelemonslaughing.com. We are linked to all the different podcast platforms there. Our social media is linked there. You can email us through our website if you have any suggestions for a topic. And we love hearing from you. All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.